Right. Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Thank you. A very warm welcome and thank you, Faith. Thank you, Bernadette. Thank you, our team in Migori, all of you for being here and for being so inspiring. I feel like a nice fire has been put under me. But before we begin our deliberations, a few housekeeping rules. Firstly, please note that the meeting is being recorded. This will be shared with the participants as well as our members in Kenya. Also note that the meeting is being interpreted English, Swahili. So if you feel comfortable speaking in Swahili, we do have the interpretation. The button at the bottom, you can click on that and to get the meeting in fully or the other way, in case there's anybody sharing.
Kuweza kubonga Swahili ama Kiingereza, na pia unatakiwa kujua kuna mahali tunaweza kutoa maoni yetu, kuwauliza maswali. Jisikieni huru kutumia fursa hii kwa timu yetu ya
make your way out safely, and in case of anything, just let me know. You also have your contact person in Migori, who is Natalie, and in Nairobi, it's myself. You've been shown where to get your teas and your lunches and where the restrooms are. In terms of COVID, I know I've just removed my mask. You've all been provided with masks and sanitizers. Kindly utilize them. We care for you. Right. Consistently. In case you feel ill, please let me know. In terms of safety, Zoom, kindly let me know. And this would be disruptions or Zoom bombing, just let me know. If you witness such you are welcome to pause or
Nolene, we are having trouble hearing you actually.
In touch with you, and I'll follow up and support. Oh, sorry. I'm being told you can't hear me.
Please repeat the last part.
Sorry, is that okay? Good. All right. Sorry about that. And then finally, if you'd like to come in after witnessing such a concern, just let me know. We'll let the host know. And if you are sharing something, we shall still let you continue with your sharing. Thank you. I can hand this over back to Mildred, and wishing you all happy deliberations. And thank you again.
Thank you, Nolene. Thank you very much. I just want to also remind the participants that we are engaging now on social media. Please get on social media if you can, and you ought to, because this is where now our advocacy really goes top notch, especially now. We are engaging on social media with the hashtag #EndChildMarriageKE and another hashtag Let's Get to Zero. So as you can see, Dr. Powell, that Let's Get to Zero for me is really a focus that we can capitalize on. So you can engage with hashtag #EndChildMarriageKE and hashtag Let's Get to Zero. With that now, I hand back to Bernadette Loloju. Thank you again, Bernadette. I am hopeful that your panel is complete. Your panel had Mr. Joseph Ireri, the Assistant Director, again, of Ministry of Public Service and Gender. If at all there is a representative, it would be very, very helpful. We needed the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, State Department for Social Protection, Honorable Aloy Letoimaga. And then, of course, the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group. We needed Honorable JB Kilimo. I just want to say at this point to Honorable JB Kilimo that it is through her, her work, through her face, through her efforts that many of us sort of earned our right to really champion for ending FGM and child marriage. If you will remember very well, we had not given this advocacy a face as a country. And I want to affirm Honorable Lina Jebi Kilimo really thoroughly, that for many of us years back, the affirmation to advocate really came with her leadership at the time and her very consistent push without relenting. I was then a young journalist in the newsroom. I wrote a lot about you, followed you all over. In fact, I think I unpacked you thoroughly in my view. But I want to appreciate you and thank you that we gave authenticity to the struggle with you in office. And so we really affirm that. May I now hand over to Ms. Bernadette Loluju to just take over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister Mildred, for taking us through this conference. And I would like to welcome all the panelists and all the participants. If you have any questions, please let them come through the chat box so that the organizers can be able to put all the questions together and for the panelists who are with us here. So I would really want to know exactly who is here as my panelists. I can see Honorable Jebi Kilimo. Any other panelists who has arrived for this panel? Good morning, madam. I know we had a late night yesterday from Kajiado, and we are here now for this meeting. Any other of the panelists? Nolin, have you confirmed who else is here with us?
Bernadette, I think if we can take it away on a one-on-one with Honorable Kilimo as we wait, then yes, we will alert you as soon as another panelist comes in.
Okay.
Thank you, Bernadette. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Honorable Jebi Kilimo. You are the right person for this. And thank you very much for coming and for your commitment. It just shows that when you are committed to an issue, you are always there to be part of it. I would also want to send apologies from the chairperson of the board. She got bereaved and she could not be able to join us. So the first question I would want to ask Honorable Jebi Kilimo is, what factors do you see have contributed to the progress we have made in the last 15 years in the campaign to eliminate FGM and child marriage? What is the progress that we have made as Kenya in the last 15 years? What do you think are the exactly what has made us make this significant progress? Because for me, I feel we have made progress, and you are really the right person to tell us what is the progress and what has really contributed to that.
Thank you very much, and greetings to everyone present in this forum of Girls Not Brides. It's also a privilege for me, and thanking God that I can be able to connect again with Dr. Powell. I just want to tell her that the Youngs that we launched together in 2015 has been upscaled by the CEO of the Anti-FGM board, Madam Lolochu, who has now gone ahead to launch all those Youngs in every county, until it reached a point where the president of Kenya awarded some recognition to the young people against FGM. So 15 years. The civil society in Kenya have been very active, and the wind under their wings was the law banning female genital mutilation. Because then when government realized the work that they were doing, it's like affirming the work that this civil society and NGOs have been doing. And like before, when NGOs would speak and communities would just say those are NGOs. But by the fact that the government of Kenya came on board with the law banning female genital mutilation, and before that, we've also had the Children's Act of 2001 that was addressing female genital mutilation. So I really feel these are the steps or the foundation stones of the campaign against FGM to be where we are. I also attribute the changes we have to the fact that the 9th and 10th Parliament where I served, the women MPs at that particular time and the male MPs, it was an open secret that we passed the law against FGM. And so wananchi were able to see if our leaders can talk about it, who are we not to talk? Then after that now, the board coming up, starting of the board in 2014 there, really gave ownership, this campaign, to the government. And wananchi could not shy anymore to talk about FGM. Remember, FGM is talking about the private parts of people, untouchables in our communities. You don't call it a spoon, you don't call it a spade, you call it a big spoon. But when the anti-FGM board was set up, then we started calling it, this is a spade and it's not a big spoon. We called FGM what it is. And the fact that from the presidency down to the assistant chiefs, the way the anti-FGM law was choreographed is such that the administrators are supposed to talk to people on the ground whenever they have a barazas they are supposed to address. Then all of a sudden, this law, it's like we opened the lips of people who really were burning inside to talk about the consequences of FGM. Apart from the law being punitive, that it can arrest people and all that, but on the other side, it opened the mouths of people to talk of the consequences of FGM. Right now, you see survivors discussing what they went through or what they go through. You also see women coming up to say, we are being punished by our communities, being forced to undergo FGM because they had not gone. Before, they might not have even just to say that we were in Kericho where we have a challenge of married women still going back to be cut. But they are able to talk about it. It's no longer a shame to talk matters FGM. However, now, coming to the challenges that we are still facing right now is that it is going underground. And maybe that will take me to the next contribution, which might be now moving forward. What are we going to do? And Dr. Powell, you gave something very nice of sharing your stories or learning from others. I know that you may have learned from your sisters ahead of them, but using this because you have said it's recorded, those who may not have heard, let them hear also that I heard stories. Story sells. You, Dr. Powell, she saw her sisters. I didn't see anybody, but I heard a story from my teacher of women far away who were not circumcised and they were empowered. So I think we should also see how do we encourage the membership organizations of Girls Not Brides to come up with programs of mentoring, even just storytelling. Or do we go the Kuria way where I see Msichana Kuria, she has a library where girls can come in the afternoon. Young girls, instead those who don't go back to school in the afternoon, they go to the library. Should we now go equip those libraries with books so that they perpetuate our storytelling? Others are seeing, others are reading from stories. So I think the open society that we have come as a country to talk about FGM without being embarrassed. You should hear the CEO of the anti-FGM board speak. Before, men would want to bury their heads when we started, but now they're just watching with amazement and said, yeah, so that's what's happening. And yesterday we had a function in Kajiado, and I think men coming up is one of the things that is an achievement I can attribute to the steps that we have done. Men speaking about it. There's this man called Parsanga who just spoke, and he put it in a way I'd never imagined, that when Adam was given his wife, I mean, the hands everyone had, but what is that which he saw in this woman he was given, and he said, it is good. Yeah, what not everyone has, it is what women have. Yeah, it's our reproductive organ. that is good, and now it is being mutilated. FGM, the fruit has been destroyed. And so there are so many consequences that, of course, are because of FGM. But I see our progress is because we are able to talk without blinking in the open. We no longer speak in Ashtons under the table. We don't call a spade a big spoon. We call it a spade. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Bernadette, with your permission.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lina. With your permission, Madam Bernadette, I would like to present to you, with her permission, another panelist, if she may join. We are honored to have Madam Jacinta Muteshi, formerly of the Population Council, but currently the team leader for the support of Africa-led movements to end FGM. If Madam Jacinta Muteshi is agreeable to this ambush, with apologies, and we are deeply honored that you're here, Madam Jacinta. We appreciate all the work up there on policy formulation and implementation. So Bernadette, you can also have Madam Jacinta on your panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mildred, and thank you very much, Honorable Jebi Kilimo. I want to take this opportunity to invite Madam Jacinta Muteshi, who has been in this space for a very long time. She has been a researcher. She has researched extensively in this area of FGM and child marriage. And so she brings a lot of information into this panel. So before I go to Madam Jacinta Muteshi, I'll go back to Honorable Lina Jebi Kilimo. Madam Lina, I would want you to tell us more about child marriage. I know FGM is interconnected with child marriage. What is the progress that we have made in the last 15 years in reduction of child marriage in Kenya? Madam Honorable Jebi Kilimo. Lina? Have we lost Lina? Hello? Hello? Have we lost Lina?
Okay, please just, could you repeat your last question? I lost you, it went network down, yes.
Oh, thank you, madam. What I've said is that thank you very much for your contribution to the first question, but I would want you also to focus on child marriage. What do you think has contributed to the progress we have made in reduction of child marriage in Kenya?
Yeah, thank you very much. The reduction of child marriage in Kenya might not be as pronounced as much as the reduction of female genital mutilation. Because child marriage, apart from because of FGM, in Kenya, we also still have child marriage because of poverty. Like if we go to the Homa Bay area of this country, or you go to the Kwale and Kilifi, we have child marriage. And the reasons for that could be either people are looking for laborers in their farms, or the fact that maybe parents have passed on and children start just being the head of the households and they end up getting married. You know that even 2020, when we had this COVID, we lost many girls in Western Kenya to pregnancies, to teenage pregnancies. They dropped out of school. Machakos, where the Kambas don't circumcise, the girls got pregnant, and eventually because of pregnancy, they also get married because they feel now they have these children. So we have that aspect of child marriage. But when it comes to the relation of FGM, there is a strong correlation between child marriage and FGM in the FGM practicing communities because of the major reason why FGM is performed. It is performed as a rite of passage from childhood to adulthood, especially from the pastoralist communities, and not the Cushites, but the other pastoralist communities. The Cushites would be maybe those people in northern Kenya or the Somali community. They circumcise just because they have to circumcise, not because they need to get married. But when you come now to the larger community, what I would call Nyelengumo, to be able to separate us, you would get the Kuria community, the Ma community, the Kalenjin communities, Pokot, and other small tribes which also still hold on to FGM. They do it as a rite of passage from childhood to adulthood. And so because of the campaign against FGM, the reduction in cases of FGM, the awareness that has been created, especially against female genital mutilation, the hawk-eyed provincial administration, as they implement the law in Kenya against child marriage and against female genital mutilation, these have greatly contributed to the reduction of child marriage. However, the silent pandemic, as we refer to child marriage, to pregnancies these days, or the consequences of COVID-19 on the female gender, on the girl child, is what I'm referring to as a silent pandemic. Many of the girls got pregnant because of poverty and many other reasons. And now, because already the girls were in a precarious position of how can we reduce the burden of paying fees, what was already existing in most minds of parents, that a girl child does not belong here, she will be a problem to somebody else. So just making a small mistake of getting pregnant, I mean, it's a God-sent reason to reduce the number of dependents in the family. And so very few parents will want to accept that girl back again. They would want them to get married and carry her own burden. Yet the government of Kenya has got a law that says girls must go back to school even if they get pregnant. But you see how many of that is being implemented. You will find that they will go and get a different birth certificate to say this child is old enough to get married. It's just because it's a good riddance for them at that particular time. So I really feel when it comes to child marriage, we are not yet out of the woods, because parents still cheat on one side of the age of the child. The girl, on the other hand, may feel embarrassed to come back home or to just go back to school, and still they get married. There is an institution which I saw in the paper of a lady who has started a school in Kiseri and Kajiado County, taking in girls who have had babies to go back to school. Because even those who have the babies and they go to normal schools, they say they get stigmatized, because as they pass, girls would always throw in words and saying, this is the one who has a baby at home and like that. So I feel that this conference has come at a right time when we need to bring to the table the discussion about child marriage, not just because of FGM, but what are those other things which contribute to child marriage? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam.
Over.
And I think poverty, as you have said, is one of the contributors of child marriage. And we can see it in our communities. And even yesterday when we were with you, we were trying to see to it that a certain girl gets to Form 1 by yesterday. And you see, if we did not come in for that girl, or if someone did not call us to say this girl needs to get to school, then we would not have sent that girl to make sure that that girl gets to school. And Madam, you also saw that we realized that school is a safe space for our children. During COVID-19, that is from March 2020 to the end of that year, we really got a very big blow in terms of what you are calling the silent epidemic, that so the girls get pregnant, drop out of school, and get married. So with the going back to school policy by the government of Kenya, that's a very big policy that has really helped us to make sure that girls get back to school. But we also have the challenge of girls feeling like they cannot go back to school. So it's our role as stakeholders, as we have been told before, to engage our girls and encourage them. Even if they've made a mistake, number one, that they are pregnant, let them not make a second mistake of getting married. Let them see how they can get back to school. Thank you very much, Madam. Now I get to Madam Jacinta Muteshi. Before I get to the next question for Honorable JB Kilimo, Madam Jacinta Muteshi, this panel discussion is about what will it take for Kenya to accelerate the abandonment of child marriage and FGM. What will it take Kenya to accelerate the abandonment of FGM and child marriage? And our first question is, what are the factors that have contributed to progress that we have made in the last 15 years to reduce FGM and child marriage for the age under 15? During your research, you have realized that we have made progress in terms of the number of girls going through FGM under 15 years and number of girls getting married under 15 years. Please tell us what you think are the factors that have contributed to that. Welcome very much, Madam Jacinta. Madam Jacinta? Madam Jacinta?
Sorry, ma'am, you're muted.
Myself?
Oh, hello again. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I was muted. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Good morning, Honorable Kilimo. Lovely to see you after so long. Good morning, Benedette. And yes, indeed, this is an ambush because I didn't know that I was going to be on the panel, but I feel very honored to have been invited to speak. I think I have an old colleague who's going to be speaking later in this conference, Dennis, who will be able to give you far more detailed, provide a more detailed discussion about some of the things we learned when we undertook research on FGM and child marriage. What I would highlight now in the next few minutes might be the following. Indeed, I think as Madam Kilimo said, a lot of progress has been made. A lot of progress undertaken by our civil society organizations and by activists that has really moved this work forward to end what is really a painful process, but also really a violation of the human rights of girls and women. And I think also it's important to recognize that it is the broader political commitment that has supported these initiatives, because without that broad political commitment, the wherewithal to act can be very challenged. So that's what has made the difference. And I think what is beginning to contribute and strengthen our work towards ending or supporting efforts to end FGM is that we're beginning to collect data. We're beginning to build the evidence base. And what the evidence base and data does is it informs the way we work. It informs what needs to be done. It informs us in knowing where we need to work. It provides us with the knowledge as to where change is happening. So that, I think, has been a really important contribution in the last 5-6 years that we've seen particularly strengthened on the continent. But I think what remains to be done is for us to strengthen our accountability mechanisms. In other words, we need to be holding our leaders accountable. And the leaders aren't just political leaders, but there is anybody who's in a position of leadership, be it parents, be it school teachers, be it community elders, accountable for the harm that is experienced by the girl child. And holding them accountable, I think, is the work that remains to be done. What is continuing at present, given the work that I'm currently leading on, is how we strengthen the whole Africa movement towards supporting these efforts. So going forward, I'd like to see us continue to do that. I'd like to see us continue to make a commitment towards holding ourselves accountable for what we do. And I would like to see us continue to build the knowledge base and the data that will inform the work that we do. So for now, those are just a few of my words. And as I listen in, I hope to contribute later to the discussions. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Jacinta. I don't know whether we have lost Madam Bernadette.
She's reconnecting.
She's reconnecting.
I don't know if you heard me, Mildred. Bernadette is reconnecting.
Is reconnecting. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But thank you. And once again, our apologies, Madam Jacinta, but you know, it's always exciting to see you enter a space because we know that even at the drop of a hat, you will capture what it is we want, just like Honorable Lina Kilimo. And I love what you say about the political commitment. It is what we are trying to push for. After we have rolled our sleeves down here on the ground, we want to connect the dots up to the political commitment so that we are able to finish the cycle, Madam Jacinta. But I think sometimes we feel that we fail in completing that route, that we have done what we need to do on the ground. In Kuria District or in Migori, we have sensitized the public, we have raised awareness, we've tried to rescue some girls, and then we do have policies and laws that have been formulated, but maybe they're not being followed through. What are your thoughts, Madam Jacinta, on maybe when we feel as advocates that policies are not working as they should, yet there ought to have been political commitment? What are your thoughts?
There is no easy answer to that question. There really isn't. Because sometimes we have found that communities are not even aware that policies exist, that policies have been made. Sometimes we have awareness of policies, we have awareness of the work being done, but then sometimes the politics particularly, and this is just, I may be reaching and guessing here, but sometimes during particular cycles, like during election cycles, we see ourselves take several steps back. Now there's a sort of a cowardice with regards to keeping on the path of ending FGMC. So I think it's a difficult one because if you develop policies, but do not put behind those policies the necessary infrastructure, the necessary resourcing, then it becomes next to impossible to actually deliver. And when I say the necessary infrastructure, good examples that come to mind might be, for example, if you think of the utilization of police forces, for example, or the utilization of health services. So it's one thing to say that these are the kinds of infrastructures that should respond. And then when you look closely at these two infrastructures, you'll find that they're very rarely capacitated to actually act. And so what would it take to capacitate these two examples, for example, the police force, or for example, the health systems, to be able to respond? And when I say respond, I mean respond in ways that are supportive, but not respond in ways that criminalize and that create only further harm to communities or individuals. So I think that remains a very huge gap. And therefore, it is good and positive and important to have policies, to have laws, but then there must be the necessary resourcing. And as I said, resourcing is not just about money, but the resourcing that then makes them work, that makes it workable, that makes it understood as to what is required for them to actually be followed through.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Jacinta. I don't know whether Madam Bernadette is back. Bernadette,
yes, I'm back.
Okay.
Yes, I'm back. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Jacinta, for your contribution and also for the work that you have done towards doing research and working to make sure that and giving programmers recommendations on how we can end FGM once and for all. FGM is quite a hard topic to deal with, and child marriage, but we are making progress. So I would want to go back to Honorable JB Kilimo. Are you with us?
Yes.
Honorable JB Kilimo? Lina? Yeah, you are muted.
Hello?
You are muted. Yes. So
Yes,
you have told us about the progress that we have made. What do you think is a success that we can build on? What do you think is one of the successes that we can build on going forward on both issues of FGM and child marriage?
Okay. Utilizing the space that has been given to us at the moment by the government, and that is the anti-FGM board. Of course, my previous speaker, Muteshi, talked about facilitating or getting necessary structures. To me, if we have already the necessary structures in place for the anti-FGM, the structures that anti-FGM board has put in place, we have the policies that are now being launched in every county. Of course, maybe so far they have only launched about maybe 4 counties, and looking forward to launching in other counties. Now, what are these structures? Facilitation for the formation and implementation of the policies that counties come up with. And using this space, I hope Powell is still there. You know, she's a Kenyan at the end of the day also. She needs to see that we are really number one in this championing of things. Can she be able to resource for these organizations that are under Girls Not Brides? Because Girls Not Brides is a group of organizations that come together. You sign up and be part. Now, she seems she might have a bird's view of development partners whom she can actually recommend these other organizations to lobby for funding. Because if we wait for government now to work with this with the structures that the anti-FGM board has put in place, saying we have a county anti-FGM steering committee. We were in Kajiado yesterday, and you saw that Kajiado seemed to have had some support, and that is why they have now gone to the ward to have a steering committee campaigning against FGM in the ward. Because at the end of the day, the change to abandon FGM, the decision to abandon FGM has to come from the community. Ours is only to train them and tell them about the dangers, the consequences of FGM, and using the law also as a deterrent, but they have to be the ones doing the change. So moving forward really is to support the local CBOs and CSOs. And this is something that I saw Dr. Powell started the Girl Generation. She actually just went ahead and said, you have in which location, if there's an active, if it can be confirmed that yes, this group of young people are very active campaign against FGM. And in this case now, we also want such to just talk about child marriage and supporting these people. Sometimes just calling people to sit under a tree and just drink water in the process as they speak is what is required moving forward, so that we can have a society free of child marriage and FGM. And free because it is innate in every human being to progress in self-actualization. And so once they see that, yes, this information which they have received is dangerous, is not good for them, they will want to embrace that which is good. So unless we now facilitate or we have enough structures in place for people to inform them and say, this direction you're going is not correct, this is the correct direction. And as we have talked about sharing of information, people learn best practices from others, causing people to desire to want to change, to be like so and so because they have had. For example, when I heard in my village that the people who go to where Dr. Powell is, London, or get into a plane to London, to us in our village, all planes were going to London. It was only for those who are educated. And so you start causing hunger, desire in the minds and hearts of the girls to want to change. Even those who the government has embraced and said, you have had a baby, unfortunately, and you're still in school, go back to school. We have that policy. We still have to encourage them to go, because the discouragement from the peer pressure, stigmatization, the guilt of feeling that, yes, I did a mistake. It shouldn't have been this way. This is what I wanted. We should be able to help them not to kill their dreams. We've heard Dr. Powell talk about dreams. Yes, and yesterday I saw somewhere that don't let the cat kill their dreams. Everyone has a dream, even just the mothers who hold on to FGM saying their daughters to be cut. They still have dreams about these girls. But we now have to support shaping their dreams. And how do we shape these dreams? FGM, for example, during what happens when one is in seclusion, is something that changes their mindset completely. That is why when they come out from there, they're thinking of nothing else but marriage and to have a baby. They are no longer focused on where they were heading to when they were young. Work with the elders to help shape the information they give should be able to shape the direction on which our girls will focus, to think on what direction to go. For example, when you are in that seclusion thing, and this is something that I keep on learning, that some of the words that are pronounced over them, and you're in pain, and somebody's pronouncing things, you seem to grasp what they have said more than when your mind was also thinking of other things. And some of the things would be, they're blessed to have children. So when you come out, what I used some of the pronouncements is that, may men follow you like flies. So what does that mean? These girls, after being cut, and I saw it in my village, they never say no to any advances. And when you are not yet cut, you knew that you're not supposed to be standing even in a corner talking with a man. And now, because they know that you have undergone the cut, you have been told not to say no. So what happens? So moving forward, building on the political support that we have, and the fact that communities must own this journey. Yeah, the law is just there to deter them. The political leadership is cheering them on to leave those harmful cultural practices and move forward. If they don't move their feet, they will still be remaining there. And the only way they can move their feet is when they sit as a community and say, yesterday, this is the way we were doing things. Today, we want to do them this way because things have changed. And this change are informed by data as by research, which is there in plenty. For example, if that of 1 minute, 23 girls, 1 minute, 23 girls. Can you imagine the shock that communities will actually say, what? Do you mean that is what is happening? They will do their part to reduce that minute, that 23, to say in a minute, let's see. That minute might end up being an hour without a girl not being married because they are on the lookout. And so there is need for us to engage the local, the community leaders, for example, not the political, okay, the political will come there, but these people who hold conversations every day in the village, we might call them the gatekeepers of culture or the council of elders. And this is something that, Madam Lolojo, you have started in the FGM board, and I pray that you will also do in many, many other communities, bringing the elders together to talk, so that when they are blessing their children to fly. Yeah, they should be blessing their children to be what research has shown, that when you educate a child, you have educated a society. And they bless those children instead of blessing them of, okay, it's good to have children, but at the right time. So I think that is what I can say for now. And Jacinta, I hope you're still here. I know you did a great work when you were in the population council there. There was this research about teenage pregnancies that was also done there, which maybe if you can actually also tell us about these teenage pregnancies and see how are we going to collaborate with government to ensure all these teenage pregnancies doesn't result in child marriage. I submit.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you so much. I hope we are taking in what Honorable JB Kilimo has talked about. She has really brought everything together on issues of successes that we should build on. One is that the government itself is taking the lead in the campaign to end FGM and child marriage. As you already know, His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta this year was with the Samburu elders in Samburu for a declaration whereby the elders declared to end FGM and child marriage among the Samburu community. That's a very big step towards getting to zero for that community. So thank you very much, Madam Honorable JB Kilimo. Now I would want to go to Jacinta Muteshi. You already know that we have a number of successes that we have. Which one do you think we should specifically build on going forward? Madam Muteshi. Madam Muteshi. Successes that we can build on going forward. Hello, do we have Madam with us? Or did we lose her? As we wait for her to join us, I will still go back to Honorable JB Kilimo. I'm sorry, Madam, for really engaging you this morning.
5 more minutes.
Yeah, as I'll go back to Madam JB Kilimo. Honorable, please put on your video and unmute.
Yes,
we have only 5 minutes to go. Can you tell us about the main challenges we are facing? Yeah, can you tell us about the main challenges we are facing and how we can overcome them in ending FGM and child marriage? The main challenges we are facing in 3 minutes and how we can overcome them.
The main challenge is creating platform or facilitating platforms for the youth, for example, so that they can do peer-to-peer engagement. Because, you know, everything is resources. Traveling from point A to point B, you will need a vehicle. So this is one of the biggest challenge would be facilitating CBOs or young people. For example, we have very active youngs. Yeah, but now if you want them to exchange information that in our area, we have abandoned FGM, they need to go and share information. Get them from Narok to go to Kericho or get from Bomet and vice versa. I need people to go to places like Marakwet where they don't know any other information from outside. So such exchange programs should be facilitated. So I see that the challenge will be facilitating exchange programs for communities to share information, because there is also that we want to be the best, we want to be number one. Kajiado says we want to be the first one to abandon FGM. Samburu want to be number one. So how do you become number one? You must know that somebody else is also trying very hard to abandon FGM and you might be left behind. And no one wants to be left behind. And also as the SDGs, we will also say no one should be left behind. So really facilitation is the biggest challenge that I see as an impediment to information sharing. Of course, thanks to digital, which has come in. And you know that the other day you also launched an app where we'll be getting to know which girls are in danger and all that. And all this require resources. So I see that as the biggest challenge. But meanwhile, girls, not brides, thank you for this opportunity to be able to share. You need to be more visible in the villages, or encourage and for you to be visible in these villages and communities is supporting the organizations that subscribe, that are members of Girls Not Brides. Then that means, can you be like the one bringing down, I'm a pastoralist. So if you want your animals to eat from shrubs in the tree, you fall it down like this so that the goats can eat like that. So Girls Not Brides, can you look for something to put down like this, and organizations can be able to feed from there. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. As I end this panel, I would want to say that from Jacinta Muteshi, Honorable Kilimo is so correct about the important need to support and facilitate local CBOs. I also agree with that we need more money at the community level, because that's where FGM happens, and that is where child marriage happens. We need to build the capacities of the local CBOs so that they are able to take care of the need of the girl at that level. We also have a question from Grace Ambira, who is asking, what about the girls whose parents have put this in their minds, that they're telling them that if effect bears no fruits? I think what she means is that most of the parents are the ones who are encouraging their girls to go through FGM, or even sometimes child marriage, as we've had Madam Kilimo talking about poverty, making parents to encourage their daughters to be married off. And also we have parents who tell girls or women at community level who have already suffered the consequences of FGM, but they are telling their girls that FGM has no negative effect on their lives. So here we need to have more voices of survivors of FGM speaking up and talking about their experiences and the fact that they've been affected by FGM. And we also need to have more conversations with the girls so that we can encourage the girls to say no to FGM, no to teenage pregnancies, and no to child marriage. I think we need the voices of the girls. And I'm happy because we now have a campaign that will start, as we've been told by Girls Not Brides, that says girl power. For me, I believe in girl power. Let's have the voices of girls shout out and say, we are not going to accept this, and our future is in our hands. I've also had something from Fanny Ogembo from Polycom. She says Kilimo has really pointed out a very key factor about FGM. FGM is about knowledge and what they are being told, and this means some of their parents are deeply rooted into culture, and yes, they might have the dream, but they are afraid of being the outcast in the community. I would love us to have the tough conversations with them, because after the cut, they become totally different. I agree with you. We need to have conversations, and that's why as Anti-FGM Board, we have the community dialogue guidelines. You can check them out in our website. These guidelines will help you to be better at community dialogues, and let's dialogue with the communities. We don't need a lot of money to have community dialogues, as we've been told by Honorable JB Kilimo. Let's do it under the trees, let's do it in the churches, let's do it in the chiefs barazas. Let's speak and make sure that this conversation continues. From Samuel Kimani, thanks Honorable JB Kilimo and Anti-FGM Board CEO and Jacinta. We need this goodwill, because we already have political goodwill and policy at high levels. We already have that in place. We need this to go down to the communities. We realize that we have a very high political support from our president, who has committed to end FGM by 2022, but we have not seen the same trickling down to the governors, to the MPs, and to the MCAs. We need to see more political support at community level. So this is something that we are getting. Then we have, and let's bring on board the people who went through FGM. And that's what we are doing. We are bringing more survivors, Fanny, on board, and we want to hear their voices louder and louder. I can see Dr. Josephine Kulea has her hand up. So I'm going to allow you, Dr. Josephine Kulea, to give your input into this before I close this conversation. Karibu, Dr. Josephine Kulea from Samburu Girls Foundation.
Asante sana. Hi, everyone, and nice to join you in this great conversation. I would like to thank GNB, the government, and all the partners who are on board on this forum. And my point, I had a point on the same contribution and maybe a way forward. I remember there are so many platforms that have been coming, or we've attended or participated, that have given. I joined in a bit late, but I met the issue of resources being discussed. But there are a few platforms that I want to remind us, and maybe some of us could go back to it, or maybe GNB can push us to follow up that. 2015, just to remind us a few, the AU held a forum where all the First Ladies of Africa were brought on board, and the topic was how First Ladies of Africa can challenge the issue of child marriage in Africa. And I remember I also spoke in that forum, and I don't know how we're going to do to follow up that, because I know First Ladies of Africa are in a good space to speak about this and also enhance this in their countries. And so that's one platform that I feel we can bring it up. The other issue is 2019, where the president mentioned ending child marriage and FGM by 2022. He was in Vancouver, and there was a lot of resources pledged in that forum for SGBV issues and child marriage and FGM. And how can that resource also be followed up? And also, the other day we had the ICPD in Nairobi. Billions of dollars were pledged by so many countries to follow up GBV, child marriage issues, and FGM. So how can we leverage on those resources that are lying out there with those countries that pledge that money? Who is following the money up, and how do we get to make sure that the money is coming to the grassroots, as it's said? Thank you so much. That is my input.
Thank you very much, Dr. Josephine Kulea, for the good work you are doing in Samburu, making sure that girls get a safe space and get educated so that they are the future ones who will be in the forefront to make sure that their own daughters are safe from FGM and child marriage. So I think that question will go to our panelists and also to Girls Not Brides. So who is following up on all these monies that are being, we are being told need to come to the grassroots? I think we also have the Generation Equality Forum, where we are being told more money will come to the women-led and youth-led organizations at community level. So who is following up on that? There is also the issue of the First Ladies of Africa. They met and they agreed that they are going to push for the end child marriage agenda. How are we following up to make sure that the First Ladies still use their platforms to push for the end of child marriage? So those are some of the issues that have been brought up by Dr. Josephine Kulea. So we already are out of time. And so I will just ask us if you have any more questions. If anyone who can give us a feedback on what Dr. Josephine Kulea has brought on board, let us do that. Then we can finish this part of the panel because of time. And if there is nobody, or we will still get that from Girls Not Brides, I take this back to Mildred. Thank you very much, Mildred. And thank you very much, my panelists, Jacinta and Narabojebi Kilimo.
Thank you very much, Madam Bernadette. And my hope is that I'm sticking with you for these 2 days. I love absolutely how you are unpacking these issues. Thank you for having a wonderful presentation and a wonderful panel. And a big thank you to our panel. Can we appreciate that? Please, can we appreciate them? Total News, can we see ourselves appreciating the panel? Can we see ourselves appreciating the panel? You appreciate like this, the way I'm doing it. Are you watching me? Migori, are we together? Nairobi cluster, are we together? Thank you. Thank you very much, Bernadette. And we are just about to take a brief health break. That conversation was heavy and very important. The conversation was heavy and very, yes, please, we are going to take up other responses immediately after the break so that we have at least 10 minutes break. Okay, Migori? So we are going to take the us in the room. It is now 10:55. How have we taken since we stopped at 4? So it is now 1 hour, 51 minutes. If it is 1 hour, 51 minutes, and it is 23 girls per minute, how many girls are we talking about that we have lost so far, in addition to what we calculated? My mathematicians tell me It is 1 hour, 51 minutes since we counted. How many girls have we lost now? 23 girls every minute. My mathematicians in the room, I'm waiting. Sorry? 25:30. We will take 25:30 at 10:55. And no problem, let us move on because we have to keep the tab. We already talked and found 8:05. Now we have 25:30. We have to keep a tab. It has to be clear to us that as we talk, we are losing girls. I ask that we break for 10 minutes for break. Kindly please go and come back with your cup of tea, cup of uji, cup of coffee. I just want to see your cup. So once you're done, 10 minutes from now is going to be 11:04. At 11:04, please come right back with your cup. All I need is your cup. It can be a cup, it can be a mug, it can be an aguata, it can be a whatever it is you're using to drink, whatever you're drinking for these 10 minutes. So a big thank you to all of you for these opening sessions. Total News, over to you as we break for exactly 10 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yes, and we come back at 11:04. Thank you very much.
John.
We all want to live in a better world, right? To see real change with equality for all. We've made progress, but change needs to happen fast enough. We are leaving behind too many women and girls. We are leaving behind too many child brides.
The joint general comment is an articulation which was provided by the African Commission on Human and People's Rights and the Committee of Experts. And they really defined critical interpretation around child marriage in which our member states have to follow. First, in the joint general comment, which I fully support, is that the age of marriage without exception is 18.
General comment, therefore, has a very wide scope. It includes not only girls who are already involved in child marriage, but those who are at risk of child marriage, and even adults, women who are today adults but who were married at the age of below 18.
We know, and as has been published, including by the UN and by the African Union, that we have the highest prevalence of child marriage in Africa, where more than 12 million girls are married each year globally, and the highest numbers are in Africa. In West Africa, we have countries like Niger, like Burkina Faso, where over 65% of girls are married under the age of 18. Here in Southern Africa, we have countries like Malawi, where 42% are married under age of 18. Here in my country, in Zimbabwe, it's over 30%.
In 2014, the African Union launched a campaign to end child marriages on the African continent. And in the same year, in July of the same year, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights then passed Resolution 292, which was a resolution commissioning mandating the Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Women in Africa to commission a 10-country study to assess the prevalence of child marriages on the African continent, as well as to assess the legislative provisions that were in place in different countries to protect the rights of children from child marriages. In that resolution, the African Commission mandated the Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Women in Africa to work with the Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child in developing this general comment, and also to work with the Center for Human Rights at the University of Pretoria, providing technical support in the research work.
When it comes to women's rights organizations, it's such a powerful tool because they can use it for advocacy, to teach other human rights-based organizations, to teach even their national governments on what it entails and why there's a need to ensure that the Maputo Protocol is domesticated for those who have ratified and for ratification for the countries which are yet to ratify.
Africa has some of the most progressive policies for ending early child and forced marriages, such as the Maputo Protocol and the African Children's Charter.
التغيير الحصل أو الحصل على المرأة والطفل في السودان بعد توقيع موبوتو فتح مساحة كبيرة جدا للمشاركة للمرأة في كل المجالات ومنها المجال السياسي.
We really expect that these African human rights systems is able to operate without any interference so that the rights of women can be progressive in our countries. The rights of the girl child are also, upheld so that women and girls can participate in the social structure of their countries without any hindrances.
Now that we have the Joint General Comment on Ending Child Marriages, I think it is important for the African Commission as well to work hand in glove with the committee to ensure that state parties to both the African Children's Charter and the Maputo Protocol start the important work of harmonizing their laws to ensure that marriages take place with adults above the age of 18.
When I was 12 years, mama vakashaya ne 12 years kudaro ndakasara nevanhu vaindichengeta havana kukwanisa kuda kuti ndienderere mberi nechikoro, saka nekudaro ndakafunga kuti solution pane zvandiri kuita izvi kuchikoro ndatadza kuenda panapa upenyu hwandorarama hwakaoma kuroro ndane 15 years.
Ndichiri mwana chaiye ndapinda mumba ndine makore anoita 16 ndakasangana nematambudziko akawandisa sezvo ndiri mwana mudiki. Ndakasangana nematambudziko ekurohwa, ndakasangana nematambudziko ekutukwa, zvairema zvairwadza nokuti ndichiri mwana mudiki. Saka ndinototenda nekuzointroducwa kwaitwa RMT, Rosaria Memorial Trust, muno munharaunda. Takazotorwawo madzimai echidiki kusanganisirawo ini tikapinzwawo munhanga. Hurumende dzemuno muAfrica dzese dzabatana, vana vasikana vasimudzirwa vapedza dzidzo yavo kusvika kuyunivhesiti chaiko, ende vapfuurawo pamakore avo 18 years vanofanira kupfuura varambe vachimboenderera mberi nedzidzo.
Being deliberate, grounded, and guided by collective action is the only way to deliver for women and girls affected by violations such as early child and forced marriages.
My destiny is bright. I choose to get out of the dark. I will defend my right from now onwards. It's a new dawn for children. Arise and shine.
Every year, 10 million girls are forcibly married before the age of 18 in Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Europe. Every year, 10 million girls are forcibly married before the age of 18 in Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Europe.
That is something like 25,000 girls every day.
People don't seem to talk much about child brides. Perhaps it is seen as a family issue and not a public one, or a cultural issue and not one of human rights. But I cannot stay silent.
This is a grave human rights issue, but it's also a development issue. How can you improve girls' education when they're taken out of school to be married? How can you reduce maternal or child mortality when girls are giving birth at 12 or 13? How can you reduce poverty when child marriage perpetuates poverty?
People may say it is tradition. It cannot change. But I know it is not true. Traditions can change because they are made by people.
Great change can happen in a single generation. I know this to be true. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Change happens through protecting girls' rights in law and practice. Every year, 10 million girls are forcibly married before the age of 18 in Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Europe.
That is something like 25,000 girls every day.
People don't seem to talk much about child brides. Perhaps it is seen as a family issue and not a public one, or a cultural issue and not one of human rights. But I cannot stay silent.
This is a grave human rights issue, but it's also a development issue. How can you improve girls' education when they're taken out of school to be married? How can you reduce maternal or child mortality when girls are giving birth at 12 or 13? How can you reduce poverty when child marriage perpetuates poverty?
People may say it is tradition. It cannot change. But I know it is not true. Traditions can change because they are made by people.
Great change can happen in a single generation. I know this to be true. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Change happens through protecting girls' rights in law and practice, empowering them to take control of their own bodies and destinies, and to even become leaders and change makers themselves.
Once you have women liberated, it's amazing how many other problems get resolved. Poverty, education, health. Women are the key in any community.
Change happens through raising community awareness of the dangers of child marriage and the benefits of stopping this practice. This is happening on a small scale, but change is far too slow.